Hey guys, welcome to another video in the series Airchatty Fridays. In today's video, we're going to show you a really unique feature that you can use with a little bit of customization, where you can even replace Calendly as your booking an appointment and do everything through the chatbot itself. The way to do this is by using the CRM version 2 API actions that we have available natively once you have integrated with your Airchatty CRM. The first thing that you will need to do is by getting the calendar free slots, right? So if we take a look inside and see what we will need, is the action will be calendar get free slots, and then we need some kind of data set, right? So we have the calendar ID that we will need to fetch somewhere. We have the start date, the end date, we have the user ID, we have the time zone, and a few things that we can already grab, like the calendar ID and the user ID. The way to easily grab this is by going with another action and first grab the calendar ID. The way to do that is by going with an action called get calendars and then just test a request. It will fetch all the calendars inside of your CRM and you can pick the one that you need to. I only have one, so I will map this specific value. You can map that towards a bot field, for example. I just copy and pasted this. The next set that you will need is the user ID, right? So the user ID of the person belonging towards that calendar. You can do that by going with a certain action, and that action will be, if we scroll all the way down, we will be able to grab all the users. And if we say get users, we can also search for names. So if I want to grab my user ID, right, I'm just going to search for my name. And if I do so, test a request, then you will see that I get a user ID back. Again, you can map this towards a bot field if you like to, but I just use it by copy and pasting it, for now at least. So those are the two data sets that we already can capture within just a few seconds, and then basically use that inside the free slots action, right? So we have the calendar ID, which we can copy and paste here, and then we have the user ID, which we can copy and paste here. Now for the start date and end date, you can make this as dynamic as you would like to, right? So the start date could be the system field now, for example. So instead of using a static date, we can also go with now or today. For testing purposes, I will just use a static date. Then for the end date, you can also do the same as with start date. So for example, if I only want to have 4 days worth of scheduling and free slots that I want to return, you can also go with the 30th of January. UChat made it easy to fetch a specific number of days. So if, for example, I want to have 10 days I want to be able to fetch and get free slots for, you can easily do so by just adding 10 days. So this will automatically convert that into an end date. Then the last step will be to determine the time zone. If you do not fill anything in, it will basically default back towards your calendar time zone. And otherwise you can insert your own time zone or that of the user. So if you're using, if you are doing international bookings, then you might need to request the time zone from the user and put it like in the example here. We might adjust this to make it easier in the future, but for now you will need to input the time zone like this. So if I test a request now, I should get back quite a few time slots. As you can see, I get from the 28th, and if I just scroll through all the available options here, you will see that it goes all the way up till the 5th of February. If I adjust this, for example, I just want 3 days, right? So let's go with 3 days. Test a request. I will get much less back. So it starts at the 28th of January. Those are my first available free slots. And then it will only go towards the 29th of January, because the start date is the 26th and the end date will be the 29th. So you can adjust the end date towards your own liking. I will just set it at 7 days for now. And if I say test a request, then you will see that I get a lot of more slots back. Now, do note again, these free slots are based on the time zone +1, because that's my time zone that I've given here. If I change this, however, towards America and then Chihuahua, fun name, then you will see that the first available slot will not be 8 a.m. So if I test request, you will see that now the available slot will be midnight, but then the time zone will also be adjusted to -7, right? So you can see that it automatically adjusts according towards the time zone. So if I put this back, and let's say I'm going to put this back towards my Budapest time zone, then I will get my first slot at 8 a.m. as you can see. The thing that we are going to do is we are going to basically save this entire set of not only dates but also the free time slots into a JSON field. And I created a JSON field called calendar free date and time, and I just mapped that here. So I'll just go with the sample data all the way at the top with the opening bracket, and then save that towards that specific custom field, press add, and it's being added as being saved as such. The next step is a little bit more developer-like, because we need to insert a JavaScript. Basically, this means that we are going to convert the dates into a more readable format. So if we take a look here, you will see that the inputs will be set towards the one that we just fetched, right? So it's being saved to the calendar free date time, and then we want to display the entire slot. And then we are going to use the library day.js and have this little script running. What this little script does, and you can just pause the video and copy it over, but I will also provide a txt file in the video description below, which you can just copy and download and then use it as basically a replacement for this. But if we test the function, you will see that each date will now be fetched, right? But also be formatted. And as you can see here, the text will be formatted. So the value is still the same, but the text is now being formatted to 27th of January, right? So this is the way that we set this up. We basically get the results path mapped towards a new JSON field called calendar free dates. In the next step, we're going with a question block with a choice type, and then we're going with a dynamic response. And this dynamic response, if I just remove this one, so let's remove that and go with the dynamic response. We're now going to search for that specific JSON field, free dates. There we go. And then we are going to map the values. So we want to show the user the formatted values. So if we go inside the for each item, we can now go with the text value, the 27th of January in this case, press save. But in the answer value, so as soon as a user picks a certain date, we are going with the unformatted version. And there is a reason for this, because in the next set, we are going to search for the specific time slots, right? So we need this complete unformatted date, basically, to be able to do that. So we're going, instead of saving the text, the formatted one, we're going to save the unformatted version. And we're going to save that inside the custom field, as you can see here, calendar_date selected. And we're going to map this dynamic quick reply towards this new JavaScript. And inside this JavaScript, we're still going with the exact same input, because it contains not only the dates but also the time slots. But now we have an additional parameter, because now we know which date the user picked, right? We just saved that in the previous question. Now we are going to customize a little bit of the script. And then if we test the function, as you can see, we have a test value of the 30th, right? If we say test, we only get the time slots, available time slots for the 30th back, as you can see here. Again, we are going to map everything, all the results, towards a new JSON field called calendar_free_times. And then we're going to display those formatted times. And again, if I just delete this one, we're just going with the dynamic answer. And this dynamic answer will be 3 times, right? We need that JSON field because we just formatted that. And then the value will be item. And then we are going with the formatted text because that is what we want to showcase, because that's a more readable format than the value itself. And then we press save. We are going with the answer value of unformatted. So this one, because we need that in the next step. Might be a little bit confusing, but I do hope that you understand that the text, basically the text value is the one that is being outputted towards the user to make it more friendly and more readable. And then the backend will just contain the original, basically the original saving. So we're going to save this and we're going to save this. And then as you can see, the response is being saved to calendar time selected. So basically the next step will be to save the selected date and time in a formatted text field. This will allow us to showcase the outputted time formatted, but in the backend we still have that unprocessed data, right? So we are going to save this, and then we're going to save the values, as you can see here, to confirm the date is calendar selected date time formatted, time is calendar selected date time formatted. The next step will be to see if the contact ID is already existing inside the CRM. We have a system field for that. If no, we are first going to create the contact. So basically that looks like the following. The action will be create contact, and then we're going to map all the custom fields that we have. As you can see, I only mapped the above section. The address and stuff like that is not really needed for me at this moment, but if you need it and if you want to fill it in and you have it, feel free to do so. The output will then be the $.contact.id, and we are going to map that towards the system field CRM contact ID. So once saved, we're now able to create the calendar appointment. So this is where it all basically fits, right? So we got all the details from the user, and now we want to map this towards a specific appointment detail. As you can see, we need the contact ID, which we just created. The calendar ID we already fetched, and the start time is the calendar time selected. This is basically the unformatted date and time that we saved inside this custom field. And then the end time doesn't really matter, because by default you set your events, your appointment duration inside the calendar settings of your CRM. So inside of Airchatty, when creating a calendar and creating your availability, you also set the duration of each event. And for me, it's, I believe, 30 minutes. So I will leave the end time just blank. And then you can give it a title. You can give the appointment status. It would be a new one in this case. And then we have the user ID. So that's the user ID that we fetched. My user ID, right? You can also give an appointment address. So whether that's a physical address or just an online meeting like Google Meet. And then you have a few more values like ignore the date range. If set to true, the manual scheduling notice and the date range would be ignored. If you set it to false or default, then it will be applied. Then you also have a notified status. I just left it at default. And then the thing that you will get back is the meeting ID, basically. And the meeting ID you can use to adjust the meeting details, right? So if a user wants to reschedule or cancel, then you can search up the meeting, and then you will get all the details of the meeting by using this custom field to look up that meeting, basically that appointment ID. Once saved, we're going to just output this and then say your appointment on calendar selected date formatted at calendar selected date time formatted is scheduled. So now that we basically implemented this system, let's see if this can really replace Calendly, right? So if we preview this, so let's say we are going to preview this inside of a webhook. Let's take a look if it works. So we have quite a few appointments, as you can see here. I believe the date was set to 10 days. So we have quite a few days where we can choose. Inside the CRM, let's see for the available dates. And let's see if we can we book? We can book on the 28th of January. That would be a Saturday. So let's see if we can get some free time slots here. As you can see, the time slots are really quickly formatted already. And let's say we're wanting to go with 10 a.m. As you can see, you get the confirmation, and then the appointment details for the 28th of January at 10 a.m. is scheduled. So let's head over towards the CRM to see if it's being added towards the calendar. We might need to refresh the page, so I will just switch the tab. So from conversation back towards calendar. And as you can see, the event has been created. So this is the way that you can basically let users schedule appointments 24/7 directly inside your chatbot by fetching the free calendar slots for specific dates, format them with a little bit of JavaScript to make it a better and smooth experience for users. So if you have any questions, do let us know. If you like the video and want to see more of these kinds of videos where you can make full use of the native integration between Airchatty and UChat, do drop a like and let us know what you would like to see next by dropping a comment down below in the comment section. For now, have a great day, enjoy, try it out, have a great weekend, and we will talk really soon.